Thank you so much, Peter. It was a really inspiring story. And now I'd like to move on to Brian Toohey, who is the President and CEO of the Semiconductor Industry Association. Brian brings more than 2 decades of experience and knowledge in both the federal and international affairs dimensions of this. And he has worked in the technology, medical device, and pharmaceutical industries. At SIA, Brian is responsible for setting and leading the public policy agenda and serving as the primary advocate for maintaining U.S. leadership in semiconductor design and manufacturing. He's also done great work along with his SIA colleagues with Congress on this particular issue of the importance of enabling and empowering U.S.-based institutions to take in the talent that they need. So I'm very happy that Brian could be with us today. Brian?
Thank you. Okay, I may actually just take a seat so I can look at some notes. But thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, to be at Georgetown. I'm a Georgetown graduate, undergrad in graduate school, School of Foreign Service, and I'm an adjunct professor in School of Foreign Service, so it's an institution I love dearly and appreciate the opportunity to contribute to this panel. From my perspective, the best reason that we need to reform our high-skilled immigration system is you just heard from Peru's. I mean, this is exactly what makes this country great. It's people that come here, that innovate, that build companies, that continue to press the frontiers of innovation. And why we would have policies that would discourage that is crazy. I mean, it really is. It is. I mean, reforming our high-skilled immigration system is really a no-brainer. I can't think of a rational reason why we wouldn't do it, but unfortunately, I'm not sure it's going to happen. And so that's what I'd like to talk about. But I would I very much appreciate, Alidad, your including me here in this panel. It's an important topic, and I'm happy to contribute. I'll just make a few opening remarks, and then would like to get into a discussion if possible. But the current system is a clear barrier to innovation. It forces most highly skilled people that we bring here to the U.S. that attend our great research universities. From my perspective, one of the great advantages that this country still has is our great research universities, which still lead the world. And those universities attract the best and brightest from all over the world. And those best and brightest many times want to stay here. And we have a policy that discourages, in some cases makes it impossible to stay here. But we at SIA, SIA is as Adad mentioned, the association of the semiconductor industry, and what we're about is trying to push policies that create opportunities for innovation, from intellectual property to tax to technology. We have a great legacy of innovation in this country. The semiconductor industry was born here, semiconductor invented here. The U.S. still dominates the world with over 50% market share, but unless we get the right types of policies in place, that innovation perhaps can't continue. And high-skilled immigration reform is a key one. One of the most important aspects to continue innovation is to have the best and brightest here, and to the extent we have policies that discourage that, we believe they need to change. And I think, as Idad mentioned, foreign nationals represent a very large portion of advanced degree students. About approximately half of advanced STEM master's degree students are foreign nationals. About 2/3 of PhD students are foreign nationals. I mean, if you think about that, that is the absolute well from which we can draw. More than 40% of Fortune 500 companies were founded by an immigrant or a child immigrant. 40%. For every foreign graduate of university who stays and works in the STEM field, almost 3 jobs, additional American jobs, are created. I mean, think about that. It's incredible. But in 2013, the allotment of H-1B visas was exhausted within 1 week. More than 40,000 applications were filed. More than was available, so the lottery system went into place immediately. Wait times for green cards in the U.S. are extraordinary. In 2013, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service just began processing applications for green cards from 2002 for Indian nationals. I mean, that's a situation which can't continue. More than 3 out of every 4, 76% of patents from the top 10 research universities in 2011 had an immigrant inventor. 76%. And you know, in the semiconductor industry, we face a real shortage of high-skilled engineers, and you know, we need to be able to rely on that great base of talent. And other countries are taking advantage of our system to recruit the best and the brightest away. Countries like Canada, the UK, Australia, Chile, Singapore, all provide visas to the entrepreneurs that we turn away. China gives huge stipends to entrepreneurs to return, in addition to you know, honorary titles and huge incentives. Exactly the opposite of the policy which we are which you're undertaking, which we in the United States are undertaking. Now, we believe that, you know, with the right types of high-skilled immigration reform, that we can reverse the situation. We believe that we should allow graduate students from any STEM field to immediately have a green card, staple a green card to the diploma. That's something that is just a common sense sort of reform. We believe we need to expand the H-1B visa system significantly. But we also believe we need to target and significantly resource STEM education in the United States, especially among young people. You know, we have to, you know, both sides of the same coin, and it's something that I personally have been involved with for many years through a program called First Robotics, where we get kids starting with the first is the Lego League. We get them in elementary school, and then we have them all the way up through high school through the First Robotics program. And students that participate in that program, for example, are nearly 3 times more likely to go to universities, and half of them normally major in engineering disciplines. It's those types of programs to incentivize the demand to get our students here in the United States involved in STEM education that is something we really need to focus on. So we believe it's two sides of the same coin. You know, I think one of the most clever constructs that's in the Senate legislation, immigration legislation, is taking the additional visa fees and using them to fund STEM education, which I think is exactly something that business supports, that we strongly support, and it's the type of thing we should do more of. Now, in this year, 2013, immigration reform has seen more movement than any year since 2007. So there's real momentum. The Senate has already passed a bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform that very much meets the objectives that I described. In the House, individual reform bills are making progress. The idea would be that those bills would come together into a single package. But it's unclear, given the current environment in Washington, whether we're going to be able to get that done. And I think that is, and it's really not necessarily a function of immigration alone. It's a function of the fact that really no legislation is moving this year. Almost no. You know, example from our industry of a no-brainer. There's something called the Federal Helium Reserve that needed to be reauthorized. Otherwise, the supply of helium, which is critical in semiconductor manufacturing, would not be available. No-brainer sort of situation. Everyone should agree on. It was incredibly hard to get that done, even in this environment. And there's only been about, you know, there's less than 20 pieces of legislation passed this year that aren't naming post offices and things like that. And so we're talking about a very difficult legislative environment. There are a lot of priorities. We have the budget negotiations. we have the Farm Bill, we have a number of key initiatives that still need to be worked on. So the likelihood that the House, from my perspective, is going to be able to pull that together into a comprehensive piece of legislation this year, I think is quite small. The question is, can it be done next year in a midterm election year? Some think that once we get on beyond the primary filing deadline, that will provide the window and the ability for members of Congress to be able to take this on. You know, it does seem to be something that, given the right amount of priority and push, it's doable. Because when I tell you, we talk to people all the time, every day on the Hill about what it's going to take to get this done, and every member of Congress I talk to always says, "I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm there. We need to do it." Leadership continues to say, "We're with you, we're with you, we're there." So what my closing would be is a call to action that every single person that cares about innovation and the future of exactly what we're talking about needs to get in front of their member of Congress and make sure that they move this as quickly as possible, because the outlines are there. There are difficult issues not related to high skill that are the roadblocks, but I believe that we can get the right type of public pressure, that we still have an opportunity to get this done in this Congress. Maybe I'll stop there, but welcome any questions, or I guess we'll get into it.
Yes, that's really a lot of food for thought, Brian. Thank you.